Things keep getting crazier for the Toronto Maple Leafs as trade rumors continue to swirl for Nick Robertson. He is coming out in preseason and showing the Maple Leafs why he deserves to be on the team in a top 6 role. We're going to break that down as well as discuss Dennis Hildeby having an unbelievable performance. And we have some other things as well that are very, very interesting. Stay tuned for all that in this episode. But before we get into it, quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. We're close now to 13,000 subscribers. It's been a milestone of ours for a while, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. But Darius, a ton to go over, and what was a very wild game the other day. Tons of stuff going down, and it's been a bit of a battle between the Habs and the Leafs. We saw the Laine injury. We saw Arbor Jack guy get into some crazy things. But the focus today is on Nick Robertson and Dennis Hildeby. And as rumors continue to swirl surrounding a Nick Robertson trade here, he is going out and basically shutting all those rumors down by forcing the Toronto Maple Leafs at this point to play him in the regular season and probably even in a top 6 role. So let's just dive right into it. Darius, obviously there's been a ton going on with the Toronto Maple Leafs. We're now almost a week away from opening night against the Montreal Canadiens, which there's already some bad blood starting before the season started. And Craig Berube came out and spoke about Nick Robertson's big 2-goal night yesterday in Montreal. It's not even the goals so much as the way he played. His work ethic and competitiveness were excellent. And the coach on the Laine incident, just a tough play. And we'll get into the Laine incident a bit later in the video, just briefly touch on our opinions on it. But Darius, it seems like with every game, it seems like every day, every hour, it's more and more likely that Nick Robertson is penciling himself into a spot here into the top 6, which is, according to Frank Saravalli, what he needs in order to not want to get traded away from the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I wouldn't even say it's penciling in at this point. When you look at the roster and what the lines are currently looking like, we know that Craig Berube likes every line to have some sort of identity. So when you look at the entire roster and who's likely to make the team, Nick Robertson, to me, if he is going to be on the Toronto Maple Leafs, he wants to be in the top 6. He wants to play with better players, and that's understandable. He's a good player, right? And he was kind of upset. He was sent down to the Marlies to start the year last year because he was the only guy who was eligible to pass through waivers, right? He was kind of upset about that. Now this year, he is a scoring threat. We've seen it through a couple of games in the preseason, and we already know that going back to last season, right? So he looks very good in the preseason so far. And again, he is a goal scorer. I feel like he can put up a ton of goals this year playing in the top 6. I believe that he is going to play in the top 6 with the Maple Leafs. Trading him at this point after everything we went through during the offseason doesn't make sense to me. I said it in a video yesterday, 2 days ago, the last time we talked about him, all through the week. I've been saying it. I'm a big fan of Nick Robertson. I believe that he can be a good goal scorer for the Leafs, and he can play in the top 6. I do believe that. So he is looking good, and obviously high praise from his coach through the preseason so far. He's keeping it simple, which is exactly what Berube wants him to do. Just play his game. We know exactly what he can bring to the table. Just bring it to another level that we haven't seen from him yet. He doesn't have to be some crazy defensive player out of nowhere all of a sudden. He just has to play his game straight lines. He's been doing that, and he looks good. So he had both goals for the Leafs last night. It looks pretty good. And, he's keeping it simple, which is nice. I think he's earned a spot certainly on the Leafs lineup, but if he doesn't want to be here, if he's playing in the bottom 6, that's another discussion to be had. But I think he fits in to the top 6 based on what we've seen and what we know Craig Berube likes.
Yeah, what you just mentioned, Berube is giving him the utmost praise, and he factors into these decisions a lot when it comes to lineup, and I'm sure he's having direct conversations with Brad Treliving in the front office regarding these things. And you look at yesterday's game score impact card, shining at the top is Nick Robertson. You had Pontus Holmberg with a great game, and ultimately very good game for a lot of these guys. And the 2 most NHL ready players out of the lineup, of course, were Nicholas Robertson and Pontus Holmberg. But even Connor Timmins had a decent game. And when you're looking at Nick Robertson's stats, like, again, last season, 14 goals in 56 games. There's no reason in a full year when he's not getting benched every other game, healthy scratch, when he's playing 16, 17 minutes per game instead of 11 minutes, that he can't put up a 30-goal season. And that's something that the Leafs would very much so welcome. And it would kind of bode well for mending this relationship after this year if they decide and he has a 30-goal season. Yes, the Leafs will have to pay up, but I think they'd be fine paying up for another winger who can put up a ton of goals to pair alongside Nylander, Marner, depending on what happens after this year. But Austin Matthews as well. Having all these guys who can score goals is super, super impactful. And Darius, obviously, you're looking at these things. An interesting tweet from Scott Wheeler here. How long before NHL goalies realize that Nick Robertson will simply never raise the puck? Few in the league who rip it along the ice, and as predictably, like 89 there. It's a very interesting quote there.
Yeah, so I saw a lot of people talking about this yesterday because it kind of looks like Nick Robertson scores the same way every time, right? But it's not true. Everybody thinks he puts it through the 5-hole, but Nick, if you can bring up our first poorly made, I will say, diagram here, is he's deliberately shooting it here in what's called the triangle, where it's not really the 5-hole. He's kind of shooting it right under the pad. And it's really deceptive because goalies, they don't have enough time to react, especially the way Robertson shoots. I would argue he is the second best shooter on the Toronto Maple Leafs behind Austin Matthews, maybe behind William Nylander as well. But yes, he is deliberately putting it there. And we saw it again twice last night, where if you go back and watch the replays, this is exactly where he's putting it on the goalie. He's doing it on purpose. So it's not quite the 5-hole. Now, will goalies figure it out? It's very hard, right, to save this specific shot. So maybe at some point they will, because you watch video all the time if you're in the NHL, so they might figure it out at some point. But he can score other ways. We've seen him score, with Deeks. He has a good shot in general. He can raise the puck if he wants, right? He plays in the NHL. He can definitely raise the puck. So he is deliberately doing that because it's working. Until it doesn't, I think he's going to keep using it. It's a great way to score. We've seen it a lot. He used it the other night too. Scored the same way both times yesterday as well in the game last night. So if it's not broken, don't fix it. Keep using it if you're him, right? And when goalies finally figure it out, he's very versatile. He has a great shot in general. He can raise the puck. You'll find another way to score. So this is why I think he should be in the top 6. He's another scoring threat. We don't know if Nylander is going to stay at center either. If he does, and that's the plan, I could see him on his wing as well with somebody else like Max Domi. We don't know what's going to happen yet. There's still 2 games left, but I would suspect that he'll probably be in the top 6 for the Leafs. He's been really good.
Yeah, and it looks like it's so easy. He does it every time. Why don't the goalies adjust? I can guarantee you they're trying to adjust, but he has that good of a shot where if he can expose a weakness like this, it's not very easy for the goalies. And shout out to Darius for his custom great graphics here with the circles. Shout out to him for that. But yeah, very, very interesting day yesterday for Nick Robertson. Let us know in the comments, are you excited about Nick Robertson? We both want to see him start with the Toronto Maple Leafs, even though all the bad beef or whatever you want to call it. Hopefully we can put that aside and let the Leafs win some hockey games with him there. But Darius, I want to touch on a couple things now. And one of them is Dennis Hildeby. So obviously Nick Robertson should be in the Leafs. Dennis Hildeby has a .947 save percentage in 88 minutes, 60 of those coming yesterday, where he almost secured the shutout in a crazy game here. And obviously, I'm seeing some stuff on Twitter, the classic, not necessarily overreaction, but the hype preseason stuff saying Dennis Hildeby's ready. He is the future of Toronto Maple Leafs goaltending. Now, whether that's next year, whether he gets a chance this year, they obviously have Matt Murray, who's also looked stellar in the preseason. The goalie situation is not looking too bad for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, one thing that is looking a little bit scary that not a lot of people are talking about is Joseph Woll. He's still kind of dealing with something. Whether it's a severe injury or not is still up in the air, but they have the goalie depth to sustain that. But you look between Stolarz, Joseph Woll, Dennis Hildeby, Matt Murray, specifically Hildeby here. They gave him a challenge, 60 minutes, and he completely showed out and was so close to securing the shutout win, but fell a little bit short, unfortunately.
Yeah, so through the preseason so far, he has played, but it's been half games because they do that, right, to get both goalies into the action. So I was kind of curious to see what he looked like over the course of a full game. And the Montreal Canadiens had a lot of their NHL guys in the lineup last night, and he looked great. Like his poise, he's very calm in the net, very different from last year with the Leafs goaltenders, that's for sure. So make no mistake about it, he is the future of the Leafs goaltending. He will be the starter at some point. I don't think it's going to be this year. I think they want him to play an entire year as the starter with the Toronto Marlies, get up to speed there, have that confidence, be one of the best goaltenders in the league. And then maybe next year, the year after, he will come in and be that guy for the Leafs. I think that is the plan, that he will be the guy. Now, I think the Leafs will be fine anyway in goaltending in the NHL. I think Stolarz has looked great. There is potential for him to steal the starter's job for anyone, really, at this point, right? Joseph Woll doesn't have it locked down. In terms of skill, he does, but he hasn't stayed healthy yet through his NHL career. So we're going to have to see with that. But, when he is healthy, he plays great. Stolarz has looked great. He has statistically throughout his career. He's, kind of entering his prime per se for goaltenders, right? Yes, on paper, maybe he's getting a little older, but goaltenders kind of peak around 28 anyway. So, I'm expecting big things from him. And Matt Murray says he's healthy and he's feeling great too. So he can be an option as well. So in the NHL right now, it looks like the Leafs should be okay for goaltending this year, but Hildeby, I think, is the future. He's showing it right now. And he looked great in an entire game last night. So it's a really good sign. It's exciting if you're the Leafs fans, right?
Yeah. Praise from guys like Robertson, Rafai, Nyes, all saying his size, confidence, and composure has impressed them. 26 out of 27 shots, 1 goal against average, and a 360 or 963 save percentage. Sorry, not 363. But that'll wrap it up. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are. Briefly, Darius, before we end, I want to get your thought. I'm going to wish my well wishes to Patrik Laine. You never want to see anybody get hurt, especially with how riddled he's been with injuries his entire career. And a bit of a messy situation yesterday with Perry, the hit, and then obviously Arbor Jackeye doing his thing. But well wishes to Laine, even though we're not Habs fans. Hopefully he can get healthy. And at the end of the day, the preseason is about everyone staying healthy. So best wishes to him. And Arbor Jackeye did get the maximum fine. I probably would have liked to see a suspension there, but I'll probably save that for another day.
Yeah, first of all, I hope Reinbacher and Laine are okay. Hopefully they can start the season. Never like to see injuries like that. I was actually a little bit excited to see what Patrik Laine could do at this point in his NHL career with the Habs with a fresh start. So hopefully he's okay and not too seriously injured. And it's a tricky situation, right? I don't think it was deliberately dirty. I feel like this is probably going to be the majority of the comments at this point on this video, but I don't think it was deliberately dirty. But at the same time, you did injure one of their better players. You kind of have to know something's going to come. But even when it did come, Jack maybe went a step too far with, punching him in the back of the head, no helmet on. Wasn't really able to defend himself. So maybe a little bit too far. Two things can be true at once. So obviously, don't think it was that dirty, but or even on purpose. I don't think so. It's a fast game. Things happen, but you kind of have to know something's coming. But at the same time, I think Jack took it a little too far. So hopefully everyone's okay who did leave the game injured yesterday, and hopefully they can start the season.
Yeah, hopefully it's on ACL or anything for Laine. But let us know in the comments your thoughts are on all of this, and we'll see you guys later because there's a lot of Leafs content coming as season inches closer and closer. So hit that subscribe button. See you soon.